Well, let's try and put these operations into some sort of context and look specifically at what their objectives are. Effectively, we're in the first phase of what could be many phases, and this first phase appears to have two distinct objectives. The first is to protect civilians, specifically over in Benghazi in the east, and we've seen French warplanes attacking Colonel Gaddafi's tanks and his armoured personnel carriers in the east. This appears to be the issue that the Arab League seems to be slightly worried about. The second objective is more broadly to do with that no-fly zone that they want to establish, destroying Colonel Gaddafi's air defence systems. These are largely further over in the west of the country where Gaddafi's stronghold is, and we've seen from the Mediterranean, US and British submarines firing about 118, as Greg Milam said, Tomahawk cruise missiles at targets overnight. The aim, as I say, to remove any threat from the ground, thus allowing the coalition aircraft to conduct more prolonged patrols within Libyan airspace. As well as that, we've seen British Tornado aircraft used overnight as well. They're effectively doing the same thing, destroying Colonel Gaddafi's air defences on the ground. Out at sea as well, we've seen naval ships, both from Britain, America and France, HMS Westminster, HMS Cumberland. They've been there for some time. They're supporting the operation and maintaining a blockade of the Libyan coastline. This is the sort of equipment they're trying to destroy, multiple launch rocket systems that pose a real threat to civilians and rebels. Anti-aircraft guns too are in position in the east. But way over in the west and out of sight, Colonel Gaddafi's thought to have much more sophisticated weapons and radar systems capable of identifying and shooting down coalition aircraft. If the no-fly zone is to work, these need to be destroyed.
At this point, we are creating the conditions to be able to set up the no-fly zone. And once we have established and confirmed that the conditions are right, then we will move forward into the next one of the next phases of the campaign.
This Pentagon map pinpoints the locations that were hit. At each of these dots is weaponry which poses a real threat to coalition aircraft. Right now, unmanned, remotely controlled planes like this are being used to photograph the areas hit and establish whether the threat has been removed. So let's look briefly at that Pentagon map in a bit more detail. These dots here represent the areas which the Pentagon American commanders say they wanted to strike. The sites represent air defense systems of Colonel Gaddafi. Effectively, they're along the north and the west of the coast. That's where his stronghold is. One of the targets might have been an airfield. It's over here on the Tunisian border. Suggestions are it is one of the airstrikes. Not sure whether it's been hit. That's what those unmanned aerial vehicles will be doing, trying to establish that. In the capital, the UK Ministry of Defence says that overnight raids concentrated on air defence systems there. Again, difficult to tell exactly where they are, but it seems that this particular district might have been one. Certainly residents say they heard explosions in this district. So it seems that the airstrikes are continuing.